SBR Forum's Punters is brought to you by Bookmaker.
Peter Loshak, we're talking right now with returning guest Doug Upstone from sports-watch.com. And Doug, one of the games you want to talk about, Washington State at Oregon State. Now, Oregon State, of course, usually a team that traditionally we think of as starting slow and then being a very good bet later on in the year. But this year they've started out like gangbusters, getting great wins, some with a big offensive shootout, some with low scoring defensive struggles. Now, though, they're a 15.5-point home favorite over Washington State, which is a team that has had a ton of trouble this year. They lost to Colorado. They just barely beat UNLV. I'm wondering, though, is Oregon State built for a double-digit win here? Can they get a margin win? Washington State, as bad as they are, as many troubles as they do have, they were down just 23-19 against Oregon last week, and that's pretty damn impressive in my book. So why'd you pick this game? Why do you like it?
Well, among the things, as far as Oregon State goes, their early win against Wisconsin didn't impress me that much, but certainly since then, they really have done the job, especially winning two Pac-12 road games. Now, one thing I heard before the Arizona victory was that head coach Mike Riley was talking on the radio about how his seniors were sick after two losing seasons in a row and dedicated themselves to making themselves and their team much better. Now, they worked extremely hard, he talked about, in the offseason, and as a group, they prepared physically and mentally for their preseason practice. Now, this whole ideology carried over into the regular season, and now they have a very potent offense led by a much more mature quarterback in Sean Mannion, who's at the controls, and they have exceptional perimeter weapons like Brandon Cooks. Now, if you really want to run against Oregon State, I say, forget about it. Yeah. They have only allowed 83 yards per game against teams that are averaging 188. Now, Washington State's highlights this season have been beating Eastern Washington and UNLV. Not exactly Miguel Cabrera Triple Crown worthy. Now, last week, including sacks, the Cougars had -8 yards rushing. Peter, -8. Now, the Washington State offensive line needs a bell and a charity bucket to raise hope. And the Wazoo receivers are dropping more passes at a faster rate than Des Bryant of the Cowboys. Now, consider these 2 points. Taking the odds makers numbers at face value with Oregon State at -15 and the total at 58, that makes the final score approximately 37-21. And these eager Beavers are 20-5 against the number when they score in the 35 to 41% range, or 35-point range. Use that and the fact that Coach Riley's clubs are 33-13 against the number in October and 12-4 versus teams surrendering 425 or more yards. Bank on the black and orange of Oregon State to win by 20 or more in this contest.
Yeah, they are a very well-coached team, and now that they, appear to have some real talent, they might be. I guess the only thing that concerns me, though, is are they built for a margin victory? They haven't had a, solid 20-point victory yet this year.
Yeah, well, it's based, in part on the competition, right, too. I mean, They played three really good teams. Washington State, not really good.
Yeah, makes sense to me, Doug. Thanks. Great preview.